Hey, everybody. Welcome to JT Talks Jobs. This is the live podcast that I do every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to help you earn more, stress less, and love your work again. My name is JT O'Donnell. I'm a 20-year career coaching veteran who used to work in the staffing and recruiting industry. And it's my job to give you a fighting chance in what is one of the most challenging job markets I have ever seen. Companies have entire teams to support them, C-suites to support them, boards of advisors to support them. But who do you have to support you in your business of one? Don't think of yourself like an employee. You want to feel empowered. So that means you need to think of yourself as a business owner, a business of one who is in business for themselves, but should never be in business by themselves. And that's exactly what I'm here to do, to be part of your board of advisors, to be part of your C-suite, so that we can really build the right equitable partnerships and get you the great job that you want and deserve. So if that makes sense to you, stick around. I'm going to be answering lots of questions today here on the live. I am broadcasting from YouTube, LinkedIn, and TikTok. So pick your poison, whichever social channel you like the best. Don't forget to like and follow. That's how you're going to get notifications of when I'm going live. And that's also how you're going to be able to listen to the podcast on demand. Just in case you can't stop by live, doesn't mean you can't listen to it at a later date. Does that sound good? Awesome. First of all, thank you for the likes, the shares, the loves, the diamonds, the support on all the channels that I'm on. It is you, the viewer, who is willing to share this advice and help others that enables me to help the millions of people that need it. I wish I could work with every single person one-on-one. That is just no longer physically possible. It is why I started the company Work It Daily. And if you've never worked with a career coaching company, I've got great news for you. Stick around today. I'm going to offer you a super special offer to be able to try us completely risk-free. So no cost to you, so that you can see what it's like to have a board of advisor, a C-suite, a whole team behind you in navigating your career, so that you can, again, earn more, stress less, and love your work again. So if that sounds good, stick around. But in the meantime, I want to get started with some questions. So if you have a question, pop it into the chat and I will do my very best to answer them for you today. I've been seeing a lot of people commenting on their frustration around the market. If you have not watched some of my TikToks or my videos on all the channels lately, I've been talking a lot about the data around how long it's taking to find a job and what are some of the reasons why people are struggling to even get job interviews. The overarching reality there is that if you think job search is about you logging online, finding a job that's a match and applying, then you are doing the least amount of effort possible. And you might think, how is that the least amount of effort, JT? It takes me an hour to research them, find them, and apply. But you need to understand there's a 0.3% chance you're even going to get a call back. That's how bad, that's how competitive it is out there. So you're going to have to learn a different way to look for work. And that's what I'm here to teach you. Okay. Very, very excited. Oh, great. So shout out to Mar. She said, been following for a while, and this is my first time joining a live. Great to have you here, Mar. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So looks like I said, I've been looking for a decent work for a couple of years. I have double major degree. Yeah, let's talk about it when you have multiple degrees, how your job search needs to change a bit. So I work with a lot of people who say, gee, if a bachelor's is good, a master's is better. If a bachelor's is good, an MBA is better. And you know, way back in the day when they created these advanced degrees, that was actually the case, because there were so few people that had these advanced degrees that they differentiated you for particular roles. Fast forward to today, and there are so many people with multiple degrees, it is no longer a differentiator. In fact, for many people, and what they don't tell you is that you go get the advanced degree and now you've priced yourself out of a lot of jobs. So a hiring manager or recruiter will look at you and say, oh, wait, they've got a master's now, they've got an MBA, they're going to want more money, and they're going to, act like they know more. And you're thinking, but yeah, JT, this is what I went to school for. Yeah, but that's now how it works in the marketplace anymore. Right now, at the time that I'm recording this, it's not that they're down on education. It's just that they're way more interested in practical work experience. So if you have multiple degrees, you want to think about how you're presenting them. I'm not saying you should hide them, but you do want to be really mindful. And let me give you a great example. A really common thing to do 20 years ago would be to put MS after your name or MBA after your name. If you got a degree beyond a bachelor's, a lot of people would put those after their name. We don't do that anymore. The only letters that go after a name on a resume now are if you're a lawyer, a JD, an accountant, a CPA, a doctor, an MD, or a professional engineer, a PE. Those are, and there's probably a few others, but any type of degree where you have to have this and you have to pass an exam in order to do the work, that merits going after your name, right? Because we can't even hire you. Like, we're not going to hire you to be a lawyer if you don't have the JD. We're not going to hire you to be a doctor if you don't have the MD. Those letters go after your name. MBAs do not. MSs do not. So do not put them at the end of your resume anymore. You need to find the right place to put them in your resume and on your LinkedIn profile. But again, you need to be mindful of the perception of advanced degrees. And if you want to learn how to brand yourself correctly so that you can make the most of those degrees, but at the same time not be, ignored by jobs, then you're going to have to learn some very specific branding techniques to do that. Okay. If you want to learn how to do those techniques, come on over to Work It Daily. We would love to show you. All right. Let's see. I'm on my third interview. Let's see. I'm on my third interview with the VP tomorrow. Any tips for me? Anytime, folks, you get further along in the interview process, you need to make sure that you're being very clear about how you save them money, make them money, solve their problems, alleviate their pain. They are buying the benefits you provide. So we sit in early interviews and we talk about our features, right? The skills that we have, the experience we have. As we get closer to closing the deal, because that's what you're trying to do, you want to remind the customer that, hey, you've got a pain, you've got a problem, I'm here to solve it. And so you want to use language like that in the interview so that they really hear you, that you understand your job is to save them money, make them money, solve problems, alleviate pain. We can't hire you just because we like you. You're too expensive, right? And so you've got to be able to prove that value. We call it your UVA, your unique value add. And all of us should be able to justify the cost of hiring us. And by that, I mean, be able to show that we will provide 130 to 140% of our salary and value, because it costs more than your salary to hire you. There's overhead, there's taxes, there's benefits. And so you really need to be able to quantify yourself and deliver that UVA, that unique value add, in a way that gets them to say, okay, they get it. They get their job is to justify their cost through their actions, through the benefits they will provide us. So that's my advice. The closer you get to the finish line, the better and better you have to be at delivering on that value. Yeah. Let's see. Should you tailor your resume for every job that you apply to? So the theory is yes, in the fact that you don't want to create a resume called everything in the kitchen sink. A lot of people make this mistake. They put together one big master resume where they put everything they've ever done. It's very dense. It's a lot of pages. It's tiny font. One, it's illegible. And two, when you do a resume like that, what it's saying is this is everything I've ever done. So if I don't see one thing on here that I need, I'm going to dismiss you. So it's not a good resume format. Today, we talk more about tweaking your resume or tailoring your resume for specific roles. Now, the problem with that is that you shouldn't be wasting hours of your time rewriting your resume for every role, because statistically, applying online, the chances that you're even going to get accepted are very, very small. At Work It Daily, we came up with a resume format that 74% of recruiters prefer, that takes less than a minute to change or tweak or update for each job. And so the reason for that is the top fold of the resume, which is the first thing they see, is the only thing you change. You're able to swap out keywords and headers that match for the role, and then the rest of the resume stays the same. And when you learn how to build, this is called the 6-second skimmable resume. When you learn how to build this framework, it's a situation where you've got one master resume and it's just a little tweaking each time in order to tailor it. Much easier. Because yes, we agree that you are going to tweak it for jobs, but no, you should not be spending an incredible amount of time doing that. And that's why we built our 6-second skimmable resume. The format, the template, the video tutorial, everything you need to create that resume in under 30 minutes is inside Work It Daily. So head over to workitdaily.com, grab a membership. They all come with a 7-day free trial, and then you can go ahead and use that tool and you'll see exactly what I mean. Let's see. I have my first phone interview later on today. How should I prepare? Okay. So the first thing I like to ask these days is, do you have a phone interview or do you have a video interview? If it's just a phone interview, then what's nice about that is you don't have to be on camera. So you want to be in a nice, quiet place so that you can talk clearly. And your goal should be to prepare with all the questions you think you'll be asked on this interview. Now, you're cutting it close here. So if you haven't done your interview prep, you're going to want to run to do that. You're going to want to think about the most common questions you'd be asked, and you would want to prepare your answers for that. If it's a video interview, you also now need to consider the video aspect of it. Are you in a well-lit place? Is it quiet? Is your video nice and clear? Are you eye height with the video as opposed to looking down on them? And do you have good audio quality? These are things that everyone, if you're doing interviewing these days and virtual interviewing, you should be very, very mindful of your setup. The worst thing that you can do is be in a dark room. Looks like you're in a cave. your face is backlit with blue light, your audio's choppy. I mean, presentation matters. So please invest some time into making sure that your layout is correct. And then again, everyone should be heavily interviewing prep these days with answers that help quantify and validate and authenticate that you have the experience. The biggest trend in hiring right now is evidence-based hiring. Evidence-based hiring is absolutely validating in any way we can that you are really who you say you are and that you can actually do the job as we've instructed. Far too many companies are feeling scammed these days by people who made up resumes using ChatGPT and then are even using AI tools to give answers when they don't really know what they're talking about. So you need to be prepared with evidence, proof, and talking about the quantifiable accomplishments that you have achieved so that they know you know what you're talking about. So again, there's aspects to interview prep that are very key right now, folks, to stand out. It's so easy to get knocked out if you don't do these things. And if you have not invested some time in interview prep, you need to. It's not a lot of time. It's just understanding the interview process today, before, during, and after, the questions you should be asked, how to follow up. These are all things that everyone should know, and companies just expect you to know. And it's one of those things now that they use to knock you out. They have so many candidates to choose from that, you know, if you do anything in the interview, they're like, oh, you should have known to do that. That's rookie, you're out. Because again, they've got too many choices. So to sleep on interview prep, to not do it, to wing it, is one of the worst things you can do in this job market. Interview prep is everything. In fact, it's funny. Not only do I have an entire video tutorial series, like little videos that you watch to understand all of this, but every week I go live for 45 minutes and only talk about interview prep. It's today, Thursdays at noon Eastern. I go live inside Work It Daily. I only go live for my members, and we specifically go through interview prep because it is that vitally important. So I will tell you, if you would like to come to my interview prep today, it's at noon Eastern. It's going to be in just a short while here. All you need is a membership to Work It Daily, and you can try us free for 7 days. So you can go over there, sign up for free, no cost to you, come to interview prep, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But do not sleep on interview prep right now, folks. It is the thing that's going to get you to the finish line in what is one of the most competitive job markets I've ever seen. Yeah. How to prevent auto rejection emails when I should be getting invites for interviews. Okay, first of all, I've had a couple of people say this to me recently. You know, I deserve interviews. Like, I've earned it. My background, my experience, I'm qualified. I've earned interviews. And I'm going to say something to all of you right now. None of you have earned anything. I haven't earned anything. I don't deserve anything. You don't deserve anything. Expectations are messing with you. In this market, there are 100 people that look just like you. In some cases, 1,000 people that look just like you. And so this is what's really hard for people to accept, is there's that many really talented people. So how do you win? Well, think of it like if you've ever seen, you know, a triathlon. If you've ever watched that, so many people go that feel they're totally qualified and equipped to complete this triathlon. But at the end of the day, somebody crosses the finish line that's trained more, prepared more, is having a good day, and just, you know, made it work. You know, on any given day, they might not win the next time. See what I'm saying? So this is the level of competition that everybody's up against. The first thing I would do is manage your expectations, which is don't have any. Stop having these expectations that based on your skill level or based on your past experience, you deserve interviews, because it's not happening right now. And I think it's important to let go of those expectations, because then you let go of your frustration around it. When you realize it doesn't have anything to do with you being better, or having put all this time and energy into your career, you therefore deserve it. Because if you base it on that, you're going to be really hard on yourself. So eliminate those expectations altogether, folks. Stop having expectations. This market, there are no expectations in this market. There just isn't. What you have to do is be very consistent in the proactive job search techniques that you use in order to get interviews and ultimately hired. Everyone right now is playing in the pro leagues, whether you like it or not. You're all competing against a lot more people than in normal job markets. And so you've got to be consistent. It's, if you've ever heard coaches in sports, they say it's all about the basics. First of all, you've got to know what the basics are, and you've got to do them right, and you've got to do them consistently. And by the way, applying online is not a basic. It is a waste of your time. And you might go, but that's what they tell you to do, JT. Doesn't matter that that's what they're telling you to do. The reality is getting a job right now is all about back channeling and connecting directly with the hiring manager, with people in the company. And so if you're not doing that, you are prolonging your job search because you're not doing the basics and you're not building the basics. And I know that's hard to hear. And I have so many people on this call that are I know you're feeling anxiety and you're angry with me and you're like, it's just so hard, JT. I should just be able to apply and get a job. Again, that's what thousands of other people are saying. You cannot have those expectations anymore. Throw them out. Doesn't work that way. Now, how long you sit and continue to be in denial and continue to do these things that don't get you results is totally your call, my friend. But when you're ready to go, enough is enough. There's got to be a better, more efficient way to do this. There's got to be a way to get better results. Well, I'm here for you. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. That's a very famous phrase. And that is why my team and I built Work It Daily. You know, back when I was in the staffing and recruiting industry, I was amazed at the number of people that didn't understand how to look for work. They didn't understand how to prepare for interviews. They didn't understand how to sell themselves. They didn't understand how to negotiate salaries properly. And this cost them jobs. It cost them opportunities. And it's painful. So if you've never been to job search school, then I would argue you're very likely doing things wrong. And my question to you is, when are you going to invest the time into learning what you need to learn to have a more successful job search? That is totally on you. That is your call when you're ready. But back to the main part of this conversation is stop having expectations in this market. You can't have any. What you can do is invest in knowledge, invest in learning, invest in new skill development when it comes to job search, because that's how you're going to beat out the competition, because they're not doing it. That's what I'm telling you. Look, there's not millions of people on these lives. There's thousands, which I'm so grateful for, but there's millions of people looking for work right now. And they're not here. They're not investing the time learning. The fact that you even could stomach what I just said to you, that's hard. It's hard to hear that kind of truth, but I'm always going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. I want to help you get the new, better paying job you want and deserve. And that means some hard truth and learning some new things. I like to tell people that right now, all of you are sitting in what we call unproductive discomfort, meaning you're uncomfortable, right? It's not fun, but it's unproductive what you're doing. So you're just going to remain there. I would rather put you in temporary productive discomfort, meaning you're going to have to learn something. You're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. Okay. But it's structured. It's step by step. It closes your gaps in knowledge. It builds your confidence. It gains your focus. It's temporary and you get results. So who's with me right now? If you would rather be in temporary productive discomfort and ultimately getting what you want, raise your hand, give it a like, put in a yes, because that's what I'm here to talk about. Otherwise, you're like an ostrich with your head in the sand in unproductive discomfort. And so many people are in that and won't do anything about it. Whereas your competitive advantage is to put yourself in temporary productive discomfort and get somewhere and beat the competition. Awesome. Yeah. Yep. Excellent. All right. So I just want to give a shout out to everyone. Oh, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for the kind words. Is there a way to pass my resume on and get an ATS score? This is so interesting, folks. So there are over 100 different ATS systems that companies use. So you could apply to one company. They've got one ATS system, another has another, and they're never going to reveal to you how you match. They're not going to reveal that. You're not going to get a score. There are companies out there that claim that they can improve the chances you get through the ATS. Okay, so their services, please don't buy into that. Because if they can get your resume past one ATS system, it doesn't mean it's going to get them past all 100 ATS systems. But more importantly, the way they are gaming your resume to get past the ATS makes it very noticeable to the recruiter. So now what happens is you make it past the ATS, the recruiter looks at you and goes, oh, they gamed the system. So they use one of those tools to game the system. This isn't a real resume, and they toss you. It's just such baloney. And people fall for it because it's a quick fix, right? You're like, well, if I can just pay to get past the ATS, everything will be great. Doesn't work that way. Does not work that way. Right now, you want a very readable resume called a 6-second resume, the kind of format that recruiters like. and you want to learn how to get it directly in the hands of those people as opposed to going through the ATS. And I get a lot of hate from recruiters, and I was from the industry and I work with a lot of companies, and they get upset when I talk about going around their systems, because remember, their whole job and them being evaluated on whether or not they're doing a good job and whether or not they keep their job is them qualifying candidates. So the last thing they want you to do is going around them and going to the hiring manager, right? It doesn't make them look good. But the reality is you're not getting past that recruiter. They're a gatekeeper. That ATS is a gatekeeper. That recruiter's a gatekeeper. So in this market, you've got to use different tactics. And that means going around, back channeling. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. How to bounce back from short stint contract roles. Yeah, I know, that's so true. So folks, if you've been a contractor and you've had a lot of short roles, my advice is to group them together. It's something we do all the time at Work It Daily. If you were a contractor for a stretch and you had 5, 6, 7 roles, you would put that all under one block and you would say the type of work you did. So let's say you were a social media contractor. You would put social media manager and in parentheses after that contractor. And then underneath it, you would put a bullet point for each job you did and the results you got. Did a 3-month assignment here. These were the results. Did a 4-month assignment here. But that way the dates are across the whole thing. So maybe you did 6 contract assignments over 5 years. Great. Then you put social media specialist, contractor, and you put the dates of 5 years. And then underneath it, you put the different assignments. That works a lot better. And it shows continuity. Yep. Great. What are your thoughts on questions of identity, race, etc.? Do they hinder you? I get that question a lot. So folks, there are some companies that are focused on tracking their equal opportunity. They look at how many applicants they got from different diversity segments. The ATS systems don't show that to the recruiter. So it's in their database and they gathered the data to be able to pull it, but it's not what they're looking at when they're looking at your profile. So I don't know that people necessarily understand that. So they're always worried about, does it help me or hurt me? I mean, if you're really worried about it, you can skip it. It's certainly not going to hurt you. But ultimately, what it's doing is helping the company understand if they are, in fact, getting diversity candidates. It's more of a data thing that they report on. Let's see. What about the disability question? This is a really, really important topic. So folks, if you have a disability that would preclude you from doing the job the way it was described, you need to reveal your disability. Let me say that again. If you have a disability and in order to take this job, you would require an accommodation, meaning you would need them to change some of the things that are in the job description because you couldn't do it as is, you do have to reveal that. If you do not, and they give you the job and then you can't do the job and you ask for the accommodation afterwards, then you lied in the hiring process. Now, if you don't require an accommodation, then nobody needs to know, right? Plain and simple. If you can do the job as is, you're not going to require anything special. There's no need to reveal any kind of disability. And it's funny because I think there's a lot broader definition of what disabilities are these days. And I've noticed particularly with younger workers, they feel like they need to reveal all this stuff when they don't. I'm like, look, can you do the job the way it's described? Can you do the hours? Can you? Yep. Okay. Then we don't need to reveal the disability. But if you're telling me, for example, that you know for a fact you're going to be out, X days a month, no matter what, because of this, and you don't reveal that, that's going to come back and get you later on. So you got to be careful. Yeah. 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 Very good. Yeah. An accommodation would be, and I see somebody here in HR, if you're telling me that, hey, I can't work because of my disability for 8 hours in a day, and your job requires me to work 8 hours a day, I'm going to have to reveal that. And I would request an accommodation to do the job in 7 hours a day or 6 hours a day, or I would request maybe there's something with how the work setup is or the task. Like, you are going to have to reveal anything that you knowingly can't do and would not be able to deliver on. And if you lie and say that you can, and then you can't, that's a problem. Yeah. So just, talk it through. For me, though, I just feel like so many people overshare. There's a lot of stuff that you just don't need to share. And yet I think people are truthful and are worried about it. And so this is a really good thing to talk through with somebody, not with HR, not with the company itself, but to talk through with coaches or individuals outside of the role to really get a sense of how you could present this and if and what you need to present in this case. Yeah, exactly. Uh, how do you connect with people cold? They don't respond on LinkedIn. Oh, Jojo, that's not true. They do respond. It's more likely not everyone responds. So let's be clear, folks. When you're reaching out to people cold, it is a numbers game. You're not going to get everyone to respond. But what I find genuinely is that if people are getting zero responses, then they're doing it wrong. You might be saying the wrong thing. Either you're not sharing enough or not saying enough, or maybe you're sharing too much. It is really important to focus on them and a way to connect with them on a professional level, as opposed to trying to right out of the gate get something from them. So not to say that you are, it's just that I have a lot of people come into Work It Daily and say, hey, JT, I've tried that back channeling thing you talk about and nobody responded to me. And then they go through our course and they go, okay, I know what I was doing wrong. So a lot of what we teach inside Work It Daily is the right way to communicate the message. We literally give you templates to follow because people often don't know what to say or how to say it, and they aren't thinking about what the other side is looking for. That's a really important part of this process, folks, is you're looking for something from them, but you have to think about what's something you could offer them first. And so we're very careful about our words and how we choose it and how we connect and start that relationship. Yeah. Uh, why do you create a 6-second resume? Because recruiters only spend 6 seconds on them initially. Recruiters skim your resume first. They're looking for certain specific key skill sets they were told you had to have to be considered. Once they spot those, then they go back and read the resume more thoroughly, which is why our resume format works so well, because we know what those key skill sets are they're looking for, and we put them front and center in the top of the resume. So that in the first 6 seconds, they're going, oh, look, check, 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 check. This person has the basics we were told to look for. Let me read the resume more thoroughly. If you apply for a job and they say it's closed, but then it's reposted, should you apply again? Folks, anytime you apply to a job and then it closes down and it opens up again, they already have you on file. So if they repost it, especially if they repost it like a week after you've applied, you're already in the system. You're not going to apply again. Now, if you applied to a job and didn't get it, and a year later they open up that position again, that would be a different story. But right now, a lot of people are seeing jobs posted and they apply, and then maybe the company does the first round of interviews, doesn't like any of the candidates they found, so they repost again. They already have you in the system. So applying online will not work. You know what you can do instead, though? You can back channel and try to get to people in the department to inquire as to why the job is open again. That's a logical thing to do. Hey, Mary, I see you're in the finance department. There was a data analyst role in your department that was published like a week or two ago. It came down and now it's back up. I applied. I'm curious, do you know why it's been reposted again? Mary's like, I don't. Let me check with the hiring manager. Let me pass you to the hiring manager so you can find out. See how that works? So when you see something reposted, there's no point in you applying again, but there is an opportunity for you to be back channeling your way in to find out why it's been reposted and what they're looking for. Yeah. Let's see. How many bullet points should I put for my employer? So, here's my rule of thumb. If you were at a company less than 3 years, 3 bullet points. Up to 5 years at a company, 5 bullet points. Anytime you're at a company over 5 years, 7 bullet points max. I see people putting way too many bullet points on their resume. And again, that gives the impression that you're trying to tell them everything you ever did in that job. So if they don't see what they're looking for, they're going to assume you don't have it. Your resume is marketing teaser copy. It is meant for them to look at it very quickly and go, oh, check, 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 check. This person has the basic skills, but let me get them on the phone or let me get them on a video interview to learn more about them. That's what you're trying to make happen with your resume. That is why you want a 6-second skimmable resume. What should you put in the application process on Indeed when they're asking the salary you're looking for? Folks, you got to put your walkaway rate in. Right now in this market, everyone has a walkaway rate. What is the lowest amount of money you could accept without having to look for another job? That is what I would put in right now. Now people go, but wait, then they're going to lowball me. Not necessarily. If they lowball you and they give you a range, you can go back and negotiate later. The only time you can't negotiate is if they say, look, this job pays X. If we interview you, this is what it pays. There is no negotiation. Okay. If they tell you the salary and you accept and you go through the interview process, you do not negotiate. But if they say to you, gee, this is going to be a salary between blank and blank, and then you go through the interview process and you feel like they offered you on the low side, well, then there's lots we can do to negotiate a higher salary. But understand that in this market, if a company says to you, this is the pay rate, it's not negotiable, and you go through the process and ask for more, that offer will be rescinded because you are not following the rules. So there are times when you can negotiate, there are times you can't. But right now, if you want to be considered for jobs, I would be putting your walkaway rate in the application process. Yep. I keep getting to the final round and someone else beats me out. What am I doing wrong? Okay, so it's not that you're doing anything wrong because you made it to the final round. That's the wrong way to look at it, actually. What you're doing wrong is you're looking at it the wrong way. When you get to a final round interview, you've beat out hundreds, sometimes thousands of candidates. And on that day, they've got 2 or 3 finalists. They're all awesome. You could all do the job. That's not the problem. So now in that moment, they have to discriminate. And what people don't understand is hiring is discrimination. Now, we have lots of laws around illegal forms of discrimination, but still, when it comes down to those final 2 or 3, we still have to choose one over the other. And so we'll look at the job and say, who do we think is going to create more value with the skills that they have? Who is going to solve problems, alleviate pain, save money, make money the most based on what we've seen so far? And it could be that somebody you're up against has a little bit more experience in this here, or did, explained the way they would save money a little bit better here. That's what it comes down to. So my advice is to really work on your interview prep to discuss the value you will create. It's called your UVA, your unique value add. The money you will save them, the money you will make them, the problems you will solve, the pain you will alleviate. You use that language in that final interview so that they're very much hearing that you are the aspirin to their pain. And a lot of times what happens in that final interview is that people get nervous. They go, this is a win-loss situation. And so they either like get worried about coming across as too much and they pull back, or they actually oversell themselves. And what they don't do is focus on the facts around saving money, making money, solving problems, alleviating pain. So I work with a lot of people who get to this stage and we get coached heavily on that aspect. The other thing I would say is this: when you go into it knowing it's the final interview, a lot of times people psych themselves out because they're like, okay, this is it. I either win or lose. No, you don't. You beat out hundreds, maybe thousands of people. And in this hiring process, you built a relationship. This is a company that if they can't hire you today, they could very well hire you tomorrow. You have a relationship with them that thousands of people wish they had. So go into that final interview thinking, my goal is to continue to build this relationship, make friends, and make it clear to them that if I don't get this job, I want to stay in touch because I want to work for them someday. You want to leave this open. If you go in, win or lose, and close that door afterwards, what a waste. What a waste of a relationship you built with a company you want to work for. A lot could happen. They could offer the job to someone and they don't work out. They could suddenly need another person and they don't want to go through another hiring process. Your job in that final interview is to nurture the relationship and share your value. And so I would work on those 2 things. But again, you didn't do anything wrong. That's the difference. Awesome. How to ask if they will pay more in a few months. Okay, folks, if a company comes to you and says, this is what we're paying, this is the rate, and you really like the company, but you're like, dang, I want to make more money. It is okay when you accept the offer to ask about that. So you can say, I understand this is the rate and it's not open for negotiation, but I am looking to earn more. I'm curious, how far out or what would it take for me to eventually make X here? So hypothetical, let's say they're offering $20 an hour and you ultimately want to make $30 an hour. Okay. You can say to them, I appreciate that the job is $20 an hour right now. I really want to work for you all, but really my goal is to get to $30 an hour. Can you talk me through what the process will look like, what I will need to do, and the time it will take for me to eventually get to that number here at the company? That is a totally appropriate question to ask. You're accepting the job at the rate it is, but you're asking to understand the journey and to essentially map it out together what you're going to need to do. You'll also be able to say, what can I do to speed that up? Are there any things that I can do to hit the ground running and really create a lot of value for you so that you can see your way to increase my salary to X, in a shorter amount of time? These are all very viable questions to ask. It shows them that you are quite focused on growing your career. And now that you can have a collaborative conversation around that. Yes. Very, very good. Best tips for an interview with the director or manager of a department for a supervisor position. Anytime you're interviewing for a supervisor position, you need to have some really good data and stats on the teams that you've led. So, what was the size of the teams that you've led and what were the results they got? That's all we're looking for. Do you know how to lead a team to success? Do you have metrics in place that you understand? And have you been able to motivate? And can you talk about how you've motivated and managed and led that team to those results? That's what we're looking for in that moment, because we want to understand how you approach getting the results we're asking you to get. That is key. Yeah. Please give me a tip for a phone screen interview I have today. My biggest tip for you is that if you're not on camera and it's truly a phone screen, put a mirror in front of you and smile at yourself the entire time. Study after study shows that if you can smile at yourself in an interview, right, a phone interview, your energy, your voice tone will come out much stronger. That is my number one tip for you. Are there certain job boards you recommend for HR positions? There are not any job boards that I would recommend right now. I am not recommending job boards. I've never recommended job boards. But particularly right now, the majority of the jobs on them are bogus, outdated, spammy, frauds, very few. And if they do post a job, they get so many applicants within 4 to 12 hours that they often shut the post down. So job boards are not your friend right now. Back channeling and targeting companies you want to work for is. They are saying as many as 70% of the jobs that are actually available right now are hidden, meaning they are not being posted on job boards because companies don't want to get 1,000 applicants. So if you want a job, say in HR, then I would be looking at 20 companies on your bucket list that you would love to do HR work for. And I would be back channeling into those HR departments to learn more about what it takes to earn an interview there and building those relationships. That is the fastest way to get hired right now. Yep. Very, very good. Okay, let me see. I want to take some comments. I've been taking a lot of TikTok questions here. Let's see. My daughter doesn't have a lot of work experience and is having trouble finding a job. What are some tactics she can do to land something? Anytime you don't have a lot of experience, folks, you're going to have to say, what I lack in experience, I make up for enthusiasm and no bad habits. So for recent graduates or for younger, less experienced workers, the thing that you're selling is that I am moldable. I am coachable. I am excited to learn. I've got an energy to learn. That's very attractive to employers, but that's what you're going to have to market and sell because you don't have the experience, which is why applying online does not work for recent grads and younger professionals. You just get tossed. They're asking for experience that you don't have. You are going to have to network your way in because that shows hustle. That shows initiative. That shows desire to work. That shows an energy to learn, to grow. And this is hard for young people. I get it. They're like, oh, I don't want to do that. You have to. That's what's going to get you the job right now. Yep. Very good. Is it possible to negotiate a higher salary from the one listed in the salary range? No. Be very careful right now. Okay. If a company is posting a salary range, that is the salary range. A lot of companies don't like to post. And there's been a lot of pressure, and in some states, it's now required for them to post a range. So companies begrudgingly are now sharing those ranges, and that's the range. For you to try to negotiate later on and say, I want more than that, after they very clearly stated the range, they will rescind the offer. I just had this happen to a person who was not working for us at Work It Daily, because if they were in my Work It Daily program, they would have known I would have said never to do that. They came to us after they lost a job. And they joined Work It Daily and said, what did I do wrong? And I said, very simply, they told you the range was 70 to 90,000. You got the job offer. They offered you 90,000 and you went back and said you wanted 110. You better believe they rescinded that offer. That was disrespectful. They gave you the top of the range that they publicly offered and shared with you, and you went back and asked for 110. And so this is what I mean about there are people out there giving really poor advice who do not understand the market. There are times when you could do that. There are times when you can't. This is one of those moments where you can't. Salary negotiation only happens when the environment is right. Based on what they've shared, you can then decide if you can negotiate. But be very, very careful right now, folks. It is a buyer's market, meaning it is an employer's market, and they are not going to put up with people kind of doing that to them. It feels like a bait and switch. You got to be careful. Yeah. Right. Okay. So, here's the scenario. So let's say a company says we're going to be, this job is 70 to 90,000. Okay. Every single time when a potential employee hears that, they hear 90,000. But the reality is they're not going to necessarily see you as worth 90,000. So let's say you get all the way through the process and they offer you 70 and you're like, I don't want the 70, I want the 90. Can you ask for more? You can, but you are going to have to provide the evidence that you are worth the 90. And so we do this all the time inside of Work It Daily. We have a proprietary tool there called the Job Matching Matrix. And so what we do is we have the candidate fill this matrix out, and it's a document that they then say, hey, can we have a conversation? I'm very excited to work for you. So they know that you're going to be accepting the offer, but I need to have a quick conversation with you. And the reason is you always want them to hear the sincerity in your voice. You don't try to do this through email. It's way easier to reject you through email. So what you do is say, can we have a quick conversation? I'm sending a document along. You send along this job matching matrix and you say, look, I am so grateful for this opportunity. I can't wait to work for you all, but I'd really like to see if you could find your way to pay me the 90. I've put together a job matching matrix, which shows you how I align with every piece of this job and where I even exceed expectations, so that I believe I'm going to save and make you enough money, and I'm going to solve problems and alleviate pain that's more than going to justify that cost. So again, I would really love it if you could consider offering me the 90. And now they're not going to be able to make an answer on the spot there, but what you've done is given valid business reasons, data, and evidence to support you earning more. And you've done it in a very polite way, a very polite discussion. Now, they're either going to come back and say, yeah, we'll give you the 90, or they're going to come back and say, no, we're really firm on the 70. And if they say, no, we're firm on the 70, it is totally within your right to say, okay, can you talk me through what we can put in place over the next 6 months so that I can get to that higher point? I would like to know what deliverables I need to have for you over the next 6 months so that I can get to that point. Can we talk through that process of what it's going to take for me to get there? This shows your commitment to wanting to make more money, but also that you're open to building a game plan of getting yourself there. And so that also is very, very helpful. So there are a lot of things that you can do. The job matching matrix is the key, though. Whenever you're trying to negotiate more money, you actually need a physical document with evidence and proof that justifies why you're asking for it. By the way, folks, if you would like my job matching matrix tutorial, like my video on it, my template, my examples of a job matching matrix, it is all inside my program, Work It Daily. You will find it there, and you can go grab a 7-day free trial and test it out. Yeah. Awesome. If internal talent acquisition reaches out to you and sends your info to hiring manager, can you find the hiring manager and go over TA's head? No. Whoever contacted you is running that process. The last thing you want to do is go over their head right now. That's the fastest way to be removed from consideration. Whoever is leading that process is who you're working with. Yeah. How far back will a lower title set me back? I could be in a situation between taking a lower paying title or job or being unemployed. Both are not attractive options, but I don't want to make a short-term decision at the expense of having to dig myself out of going backwards. Okay, first of all, folks, in this market, if you have the chance to take a job, even if it's a step back, take it. Let me say that again. In this market at the time I'm recording this, if you have a chance to take a job that's maybe a step back in pay or title, take it. Because the unemployment rates are getting really long. There are a lot of people looking for work. The restructurings, the layoffs are continuing. I expect to see them through Q1 and Q2 of next year. Unemployment is taking a lot longer. And so you take the job, and I'll tell you why. 1, it takes the stress and the financial burden off you. 2, there is a phenomenon that's been proven that it is easier to get a job when you have a job. So my advice is you take that job and you double down on your job search strategy to get hired into a higher position. Because you know what? A company is going to see you and go, ooh, they thought he or she was good enough to hire. Now we could steal them away by giving them more pay or a bigger job title. That's how they think. That's how that whole world works. You want to be in demand. There is a talent like grid that recruiters and hiring managers look at, if you're on the lower side of the grid, they see you as less employable. If you're on the higher side of the grid, they see you as more employable. One of the big factors is whether or not you are currently employed, even if it's at a lower level. So in this market, you could very easily justify, look, I was given the opportunity to take a job. I took it. It's lower than where I want to be. I am aggressively looking for my next gig, but this pays the bills. People respect that. Really respect that. So that is my advice. That is my advice to you. Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. Should you be job searching right now if you have a job? And the answer is, if you're super unhappy in your job, yes, absolutely. There are reports right now, people are calling it the great stay, meaning a lot of people are staying in jobs they hate right now because of how bad the market is, especially for white collar jobs. I would never tell you quit a job without another job lined up. You keep a job right now. You do not quit without another one lined up, because unemployment is long and difficult right now. But if you don't like your job and you believe there's something better out there, you don't wait around till the economy improves. You look now, because you're employed. You look now. There are jobs. There will continue to be jobs. You don't stop looking. You are just going to need better strategy, tools, and tactics. Applying online is a waste of your time. And you're a busy person who already has a full-time job. You know, for people who have a full-time job right now that are looking for a better job, your job search strategy should take you no more than 2 hours, maybe 3 hours a week. If you have the right job search strategy, tools, and tactics, like we teach at Work It Daily, your job search should not take you a lot of time. Unfortunately, most people are not looking for work the right way. And so they're essentially not looking for work, and they're wasting valuable free time outside of work on a job search that is completely broken. So if you are working right now and you want a new, better paying job, you need to go back to job school, because the sooner you learn the right techniques, you only have to do them a little bit each week to get the results you're looking for. Yeah. 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 Should I leave a job 2 months in? My longtime mentor is at this company for a better offer. That really depends on what your definition of a better offer is. Okay. Anytime you're at a job, a couple months, couple weeks, whatever, and a better job offer comes along, it should fit not only financially, not just better pay, but it should also be better aligned with your career growth goals. Meaning the things that you will do there, the things that you will learn there are headed in a direction that's where you want your career to go. Every decision we make in our career should be about making sure that our UVA, our unique value add, is getting more valuable. Be careful taking a job just because it pays more, but it's not going to grow your skill set. It's not in an industry that's really relevant. It's not going to move you to forward professionally, is a risk. That is hazard pay, because what it's going to do is set back your value. And I see a lot of people do this, and now they're in a job where they're getting paid more money and they don't want to take less of a pay cut, but they're not going to be able to make the switch. So make sure your definition of a better job is hitting on those points. If it is, then this is your life, your career, your business of one. You don't just keep a job just because your mentor's there. You take the job that is a better fit for you, as long as you're sure it's better fit for you long term. Yeah. Laid off back in August from a 10-year job. I'm exhausted. It shouldn't be this hard to find work. Okay, so I'm going to give it to you straight. The brown stork. I love that. I love that name, by the way. If you were laid off and you are exhausted from looking for work, I'm going to tell you there's a really good chance you're looking for work the wrong way. I'm guaranteeing that you get up every day, you feel miserable, you're completely burnt out. You get on job boards, you look for jobs that are available, you spend time putting the application together. Maybe you stress on whether or not your resume needs to be changed or not. You fill this stuff out, and then you sit around and you wait. Maybe you try to connect with the recruiter or the hiring manager, and nothing happens. If that sounds like you, I am telling you, you are looking for work wrong. And you're like, how the heck is that possible, JT? That's what they tell us to do. Just because they tell you to do it doesn't mean it's how people are getting the job. And that's what you need to hear right now. Applying online does not work. The odds that you will get contacted are this big. That is the definition of insanity. What we need to do is start you over. And you're like, start me over. But when I say start over, I mean, we need to like get rid of all of the stuff that you're doing, clear the slate, and build a very smart, targeted, proactive, efficient job search that doesn't feel heavy, that doesn't feel like a waste of your time. One of the things that people find when they come into Work It Daily, we say flat out to them 15 minutes a day to start. That's it. 15 minutes a day. Watch some videos. All our videos are little. You can get through a couple at a time. 15 minutes a day. Set a timer and turn it off because you are completely frazzled and burnt out. And right now, what I need to do is clear your mind of everything you've been doing, clear it of all the bad habits that you've built, and start to rebuild your confidence by helping you understand what really works. So we say just 15 minutes a day. Gosh, you spend more time on social media and binge watching to try to distract yourself and alleviate the pain, don't you? Come on, admit it, everybody, don't you? All right. So what if I said 15 minutes a day is going to start to fire your brain in a new direction? It's going to give you new information. It's going to show you new things. What if I said you could come to a live every day and just listen in and be motivated and be supported and feel seen and heard and understood, right? Which is a big part of the loneliness of job search right now. It is very isolating. You feel invisible right now and powerless. If you feel invisible and powerless in job search right now, raise your hand. Give me a like, give me a share, put a heck yeah in. If you feel invisible and powerless in job search right now, then I'm going to explain to you that you need right now, the most important thing you need right now is to feel seen, heard, and understood. Why I'm doing these free 3 times a week. This is why I'm doing it, because there are millions of people out there in complete burnout and crisis. And what they need right now is to be seen, heard, and understood, to hear me say these things and know, wow, she gets me. I'm not alone, right? That's the first step in recovery here. Now, once you have that, now I can say, okay, 15 minutes a day. That's not a lot of time. Let's get you going. Let's get some dopamine hits going in that brain of yours and start to show you what a smart and efficient, proactive job search looks like today and stop you doing the stuff that isn't working. Now we start to feel better. Now we start to feel lighter. Now we start to feel clearer. Now we start to feel like, oh my gosh, I think I can do this. I get it. Right? So think of it this way. Anytime you're in life, you like learn a hack, like on social media, they say a lot right now, I was today years old. You know what I'm saying? I was today years old when I learned this. And we get so excited because like we learn this hack and we're like, my gosh, I've been wasting so much time and energy in order to do this. How cool is that? Right? Think about how many times we get on YouTube and TikTok, for example, to learn how to do things that are like, oh, you know, well, job search is that. That's exactly what we built at Work It Daily. So that in 15 minutes a day, these little videos, you're like, oh my gosh, I get it. I get what needs to happen with my resume and my LinkedIn profile and all this stuff. Oh my gosh, I get it. I get it. I get it. And then you're motivated and inspired. That's what you need for yourself right now. If you are feeling invisible and powerless in your job search, you need to learn job search hacks that re-inspire you, that make you feel powerful again. That's what Work It Daily does. And that leads to my moment because in 3 minutes, I need to go do my interview live for all my members. I got to go bounce and do my interview live in 3 minutes. But here's what I want to say to all of you. We want you to feel seen, heard, and understood. We want to take care of you. Work It Daily is the #1 online career coaching platform that nobody's ever heard of. And that's because they don't believe it really exists. A place where you can go and get supported by trained career experts, a supportive community, right? So you don't feel isolated and alone, and to have these resources you need to speed up the process of learning how to find a job so that you can get what you want faster, okay? And that you can feel better. If you're ready to feel better about yourself, you're ready to try us free for 7 days. That is it. We have a 7-day free trial. It is risk-free. You can cancel at any time in those 7 days, and then if you like it, you can stay. But you've got to, at some point in time, give me 15 minutes a day to make you feel better. That's all I'm asking for. I don't think that's a lot. All I'm asking for is 15 minutes a day for 7 days. No other coach gives away 7 days of their services for free. Why? Because they know they can't get you the results like I know I can get you in 7 days at 15 minutes a day. I've been doing this 20 years. My team and I have built a program that in 15 minutes a day over the next 7 days is going to blow your mind. And all I'm asking for you is to put your faith in me and try it. So I hope I see you over there. I hope today's your day that you grab your 7-day free trial and you come see the power of Work It Daily so that you can be seen, you can be heard, you can be understood, and you can stop being isolated. You can stop feeling depressed. You can stop feeling helpless. Okay? All right. I love you all. I will be back next week with another JT Talks Jobs live podcast. Again, follow me on your favorite platform, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, and I will be taking more of your questions then, okay? But if you want all your questions answered and you want to be supported, you know where to go. WorkItDaily.com. Links down here, links over there. Just Google search it. Work It Daily, okay? All right. I hope to see you all there. Have a great day. Bye-bye.